Welcome back to Crime Besties, to another episode. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Oh, yes. Welcome, everyone. We have arrived. We're here. We're happy.
You sound very congested today.
Very congested. Just leave me alone.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Yeah. We share around here and we're good at that, aren't we? Yeah. No.
Are you feeling okay, though?
Yeah. I'll be right.
Yeah.
I'll pull myself together. Once we get into it, I think I'll be right.
Yeah.
It just, hits the head. All good.
It's
all
such
good.
a miserable feeling. It
It
makes you
sucks.
appreciate, though, when you're not feeling sick. You're like, I'm actually feeling really good now.
Yeah, I feel like these things are sent to, knock you into, get motivated or whatever. Like it's all not, life's not that bad. You can feel like this more often.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
Be
no, it's all
grateful
good.
for what you've got.
Yes.
Very
We'll
good.
Soldier on. Absolutely.
Yeah, how has your week been? Aside from being not 100%.
Not 100% this week, no. But busy. It's just never ending. We had a lovely day out on Saturday, drinking lots of wine for a friend's birthday and things. So that was very nice.
That was nice.
Yeah.
The weather was stunning,
It
and we were
really
sitting
was.
outside. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Went out to the Yarra Valley. It was just delightful.
Very nice.
Absolutely delightful.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Those days are good. I mean, God, I felt like the tasting was never going to end. Like,
Oh, the guy that we had who was doing the tasting. I mean, no shade to people who do that for a job, because, I mean, thank God we've got those people to pour us wine when
absolutely,
we want wine.
we need them.
But he was a little odd.
A little odds.
Yeah. But look, I think we tasted something like 10 wines at one winery.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
And they were all like nice
All
wines.
really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Came home
Definitely
with
do
a
that.
few bottles
Yeah.
and nice lunch afterwards. It was a lovely
Absolutely.
day.
It was very nice. Yeah, so that was really good to do that. That was really good. But then, since then I've just sort of felt like shit. So,
Oh, that's horrible.
yes, but it's all good. I'm tapped out for tonight. Someone else is doing all the running around with the kids, so I've got work stuff, and it's just never. There's just always something.
There's
like,
always something.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, it's one of those things where you try and practice gratitude for these things, and you're like, I'm really glad I get to do this, and I'm really glad I get to do that. But then there are days where you're like, I wish I didn't have to do all that running around. But I also love the fact that the kids are happy, willing, and able to do all that stuff that we, ferry them around to, taxi them around to.
Oh, this is it. They love it. Absolutely love it. So, I know like tonight my two are just ecstatic 'cause they've got like jumper presentation at footy and stuff, and that's like life to them.
Yeah.
So, it's very cute.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think probably stupidly, took on the trainer role for both of the kids' teams.
I'm literally claiming that that's my contribution as well, because you were standing next to me when you did it.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
no.
I'm with her.
Yeah, sure. I'll let you hand out the snakes when the kids come off with a jarred finger, because that's generally what I do, and then turn them
Love
around
that.
and send them back on. But what that means is, so these days, to be a trainer for an under 8s and an under 11s team, you need to do a first aid and CPR. Fair enough, that's fine. You then need to do an emergency management response coordination course and a sports trainer course as well.
Oh, God. How much time is that taking just to do all those?
So I think if you do all of them in one go, it's 9 hours face-to-face and 3 hours online.
Oh, 'cause I mean, I think our, I do the full first aid for work and stuff, and that's, 3 hours at least offline and 3 hours on site.
Yeah.
Like, God,
Yeah, so
I've done
that. I've done that bit. But now I have to do the others, which we are actually recording today on a Wednesday, because you've got some stuff going on at work on Friday.
Yeah.
But it actually worked out
Conference.
really well that we've got Friday off, because it meant that I can do the course on
Do the
Friday.
course. Oh, man.
Heaven forbid we should actually get a day off to ourselves. Like, what?
What's that?
You know what really shits me though is the lack of volunteers, because it's always the same people
always the
putting their
same.
hands up, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't. These like junior sporting clubs in particular
Yeah.
run off the kindness of volunteers.
100%. Like, if people don't put their hand up, they don't exist. And
That's
I feel
right.
so bad for that, because, I mean, being there, the president of the club standing up saying, if we don't have people volunteering, then this doesn't exist, and trying to get people to volunteer. And it's like, and there's crickets from a crowd of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, everyone's busy.
Yep.
Everyone's busy. But if you want your kids doing these things.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And look, I mean, everyone contributes in different ways. I get it. Like some people, can't do certain things.
Yeah.
So I find it hard being on my own, trying to manage those things. But like, obviously you pitch in where you can. But yeah, I mean, those people do have that. If they've got that bit more time, like, that sort of stuff, then it's really helpful. And people
Very helpful.
I know I nearly put my hand up for trainer for my older son's team because it got to a point of like no one else was doing it. And I'm like, I'm only there every second week. Like I can't do it on my own. If someone else will do it with me, like kind of thing. And ended up we had like 4 of us like that put our hand up. The club were like, we can't afford to pay for that many people to do the course. And yeah, when I hear it's that long, it's like, well, yeah, that'll cost a fair bit of money.
It does. I mean, the club pays for it, as you said, but it does cost a significant amount of money.
Yeah. I mean, at least I've done most of that training, but there'd be parts I'd still have to add to that. So we ended up worked out of the 4, 2 better placed people to do it.
Oh, good.
That could manage on their own. But I'm like, I'll be like, child wrangler of siblings, and support in other ways. I'll be spare mum, for those ones that are around the edges on those days that I'm there. Like,
perfect.
Yeah, you just got to pitch in.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yes.
I've got a couple of shout outs for today. We've got Emma K. Walker and Leanne Robinson, both who've contacted us in the last week or so. So thank you, ladies. We really appreciate the positive feedback and everything that you've sent through, so thank you.
Yeah, and Emma's all the way from America.
I love that.
I know.
When, so we release our podcast through like the Spotify creator platform, and you can actually see a breakdown on there of the nationalities of people who listen to us. You can see a breakdown of gender and age. You might be surprised to know that most of our listeners are female, and sort of in that, I think it's like 30 to 49 bracket is our biggest one. So thanks. Shout out to all you ladies too. We've got a nice smattering of men in there as well.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed lately is when we first started, I think it was something like 98% Australian listeners, and now we're like at 90% Australian listeners because our base overseas has grown so much.
Yeah.
So we've got listeners from so many different countries around the world. We've got UK, USA. We've got a few in Malaysia who seem to listen every week.
New Zealand.
So thank you so much to everybody, all of our international listeners.
Yeah.
We love it that you're here. Like, I don't know, I just always assumed maybe Australians would listen to us, but I hadn't even really considered that international people would find us, let alone listen every week.
I know, I love that. And I think it was recommended to Emma by a friend of hers, and it's like, well, yeah, so it's growing internationally like that. I love that. Because, I mean, the cases we do, I mean, we try and mix it up. We don't just do Australian. We probably do more Australian than we do other, but that's probably because it's our wheelhouse. It's what we know most. But, yeah, we love listening, love having a go at those international ones too. So, yeah. So if you've got cases from internationally that you want us to we'll give it a go. Like, we'll look into it. So
please send them through. Send through any case suggestions that you have. We're always looking for something new and interesting to research and have a chat about.
Definitely.
All
awesome.
Right. Are we ready to get into today's case?
Today's case is going to make me angry, but yes.
Yeah. Look, I think just before we really get into it, so today we're talking about the Farquharson boys, so Jay, Tyler and Bailey Farquharson. I think Meg and I both have a very similar stance to where we sit with this case. And if you want to find out different types of information, there is other stuff out there. But we have come at this from a certain angle. And if that angle's not for you, move on and listen to somebody else.
Yeah.
I think that's
probably the best way to put it.
All right. Robert Donald William Farquharson was born in 1969. Could you find his date of birth anywhere?
Oh my God, no.
No. All I know is 1969. I don't know why his date of birth is withheld, not even in the court. I couldn't find it anywhere.
No, it's a really weird one because there's no reason for it.
Like, everyone knows who he is, what he looks like, where he is.
Yep.
Anyway, very, very, very strange.
Yep.
His childhood and upbringing were fairly stock standard. There was nothing in particular that came up in my research anyway that meant he had any sort of weird and wonderful upbringing. I think his childhood was very much what a standard Australian upbringing would be in the 60s and 70s.
Agreed. Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Nothing stood out whatsoever. Just very, very standard. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
In February of 1990, Robert met Cindy Gambino.
Yeah.
So I think they met at a pub or something. Is
Yeah,
that right?
I think so. Like through friends sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they hit it off straight away.
No, not that they didn't hit it off, but there was nothing there between them.
Not according to, well, I think it depends on who you ask in that context, because I think Robert was
I think Robert was very taken
smitten,
with her,
yeah,
but
right from the get-go.
Cindy was not, in that she was. That's just Robert.
Yeah.
Like they became friendly, but she was not keen on him in any way. I think she had a partner at the time, or not long.
I think she'd recently split from someone.
Because she did have a boyfriend who passed away in a car accident, which was really horrific. But yeah, Robert was he was very much a background person to her. He wasn't anyone.
An acquaintance.
Yeah, yeah. And they became friendly. And then there was a point where she was in a bit of financial trouble. She needed a bit of help, and he did help her out financially. But all these things to me were just
White Knight saving the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she got to a point where she almost felt like obligated that she had to take it to a next level because he was helping her.
And being so nice to her.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say it once and I'll say it many times throughout this. Cindy Gambino was his hostage, not his partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. He targeted her a little bit, I think, personally. That's my opinion.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
I think the fact that his account of their first meeting was that it was like
Sparks flying,
love at first sight sort of thing is, given the contradiction then to what we know from Cindy reporting the exact same incident. Yeah. I think that says a lot.
And that's that story of her, they were friends, kind of thing. And then she very much, there was even a comment that was made around that there was no physical attraction at all. And she very much felt like she was sort of like settling. Like that's what was on the table for her, and that's what she did. Okay. There was no attraction or more to it than that.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. In October of 1994, their first son, Jay, was born. Then a few years later, in July of 1998, their second son, Tyler, was born. Yeah. They actually got engaged in this time. Actually, I think they got engaged when Cindy was pregnant with Jay. Yes. So in 1994.
So they fell pregnant like 6 months after they were sort of officially dating, like kind of stuff. She fell pregnant. Yeah. And then that he would propose when she was pregnant. And then in December, in the year 2000, they got married, and then in December of 2002, they welcomed their third son, named Bailey. So I think, as the story goes, Robert was very keen on son 1 and son 2, but not so keen on having that third child. He wasn't even present that much, apparently, with the first two in terms of assisting around helping change nappies, or that was very much Cindy's job, was raising the children. He would sort of come in at the end of the day and rile them up right on bedtime, that sort of stuff. Those sorts of things happened. Apparently he had a bit of an odd relationship with Jay, that he would sort of, I don't know, like just tease him a lot, and which would upset Jay a lot, which was sad.
Very sad. Yeah. Very, very sad.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. Whenever I hear stories like this, it takes two to tango. And if you're not wanting a third child, I know how babies are made, but I also know how babies are not made. And if that's not a discussion that's been had or whatever, or even if, the pregnancy happened despite best efforts, at some point, how could you be like, oh, I just really didn't want that child? And for that to be something that people know.
But I think he wanted to keep Cindy. So if she's pregnant, she has to stick around. She's caught there.
Do you think that was a deliberate thing? Because from what I've read, I don't know that Bailey was necessarily planned.
No, I don't think that it was planned really even consciously in that sense. But I think that it was... He was actively not trying, kind of thing. It was that whole idea of I think, Cindy's quoted as saying, even at the wedding, getting married, she was like, don't really love him. Like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but she's got 2 kids to the guy. Like, you kind of, I think she felt like she was trapped.
Yeah.
And so, well, this is what you got to do. Like, this is this is what happens. You have babies with someone, you get married. Like, and I think that then, as the marriage wasn't horrific. And I think that's where this abuse thing happens that, no, I'm not being physically abused. So therefore there's no abuse. There's abuse that can happen that's not physical. And I think she was very unaware of it, kind of thing. And so she's like, why am I not feeling right? Why is this isn't right? And I think he's sensing that she's not happy.
Yeah.
And the marriage isn't really working, but how else? But I've got to keep her around. So I'm not going to not have a baby with her.
Yeah, okay.
Another baby means that she stays. That traps her again. So I think that as much as he doesn't want another kid, that's for her to worry about the kid.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because she was doing the lion's share of the child rearing.
Yeah.
I think he never got up overnight. He wouldn't even change a nappy.
No.
So that meant Cindy was tied to the house and to the boys.
Yeah.
And I know as mums, of course you do that for your children.
Absolutely.
But
And she
also,
loved them so much as she would. But yeah, it's hard work.
Absolutely. And to, you do it going into it thinking you've got a partner, for that person to then not be doing their share of the work. That's not cool either.
No.
Crazy.
Yes.
In 2004. So Bailey was born in 2002, a couple of years after they got married. They separated amicably, depending on who you ask.
Yeah. Amicably as much as you can.
I think so.
I think any separation is going to be, a bit volatile.
I guess so. But I think by amicably, they mean that they were still communicating and had agreed on different sort of aspects to do with the children in terms of who would have access when and how that would all work. I don't think they had any sort of formal legal arrangement at all. I think they were just trying to work it out among themselves.
Yeah.
Around this time, so not long after the split, and I'm not quite sure whether there was maybe some crossover, Cindy gets together with a man by the name of Stephen Mules.
Well, they were building a house, Cindy and Robert, and as part of with building the house, there was some work being done on the house, and Stephen was working on that. I think
he laid the slab. He laid the slab.
Yeah, that's right. So he was there. So he'd got to know both of them, and he'd actually become friendly with Robert, and they were, quite reasonable mates, chatting and them that what's and all those sorts of things. But there was a bit of sparks between Cindy and him, which he had not long separated from his ex as well, his wife, and he knew how that worked. So I think rightly so, he'd done the whole there's something here, but I'm not entertaining that unless, the time's right for everyone. So I think that between them they had sort of worked out that there's something here, but let's do this the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did do that because his testimony even by the time the incident that we're about to talk about happened in 2005.
Yeah.
They weren't even officially really together then because he wanted to wait until the divorce had gone through.
Yeah, make it real official that was
That's
over
right,
and done
before
with.
they started thinking about moving in together and actually really integrating themselves into one another's life.
Yeah, so they were friends, with, a
Benefits,
bit of attraction.
I'm sure. Yeah.
at that point. But I think, and great bloke, good on him. And well done to Cindy and him for doing it the right way and trying to navigate it really carefully. And this is the thing, no matter how carefully you did that, that is, as ideal a situation as you can get out of two very adult people, mature, doing that the right way, protecting, a bit of Robert's feelings too and all those sorts of things.
Well, Stephen also says for him, it was a protective thing for his own children. So he had 2 sons from his first marriage and he said he didn't want to introduce his kids into a volatile situation either. And he wanted to know where it was going to go or whether it was even going to go anywhere because he didn't know whether the finality of the relationship between Cindy and Robert was actually what.
Yeah.
She
you
was
never
saying
know.
it
Someone
was.
changes their mind. You know.
That's it.
Yep. Yep.
So 4th of September 2005. Father's Day.
Father's Day. So, in Australia we have Father's Day on
In
the first
September.
Sunday of September. I think in other countries it might be June and all those sorts of things. But, for us it's in September, first Sunday.
That's it.
Yes. But
So Father's Day, what a day.
Yeah.
It was not Robert's weekend to have the boys. So I believe they're sort of loose custody arrangement was that Cindy had them during the week, and then every second weekend, Robert would have the boys for the weekend.
Yeah.
Robert was living at this point with his dad,
Yeah.
and so he hadn't quite found a place of his own yet. So, and Cindy, I believe, had still quite a good relationship with her ex-in-laws, and so it was quite comfortable for her to go over there and, you know, see the boys and whatever, pick up and drop off, and that was all fine.
Yeah.
On the morning of Father's Day, Cindy, basically they discussed it, and Cindy had said to Robert, you're more than welcome to see the boys. I can drop them to you.
It wasn't actually his weekend, was it?
No, it wasn't his weekend.
Yeah.
So she said, you know, I'll drop them to you in the afternoon and you can bring them back to me after dinner.
Yeah.
So in the morning, I think they went to Cindy's parents' home in the morning. Oh, no, sorry. In the morning, they went and visited Stephen.
Yes, that's right.
And they gave him, I love this, they gave him an electric wok.
Yes.
And a photo collage of him and his boys, which I thought was really nice.
So
it's very
beautiful.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
And then because he got the wok, Stephen then invited Cindy and the boys back for dinner that night, and he was going to cook up a nice stir fry in the electric wok. After that, Cindy took the boys to her parents' home to go and see her dad, and they had presents and morning tea there. And I believe, from what I can gather, so they lived in Winchelsea, which is sort of fairly semi-rural area.
Yep.
And I think Cindy's parents lived on an acreage, and apparently that morning Cindy's dad got Jay to mow the lawn. They had a ride on lawnmower and paid him $20 to do so. $20
Jeez.
For a 10-year-old.
Yeah, God, early 2000s too. Like, that's good money.
I love that for Jay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good on him.
And he loved doing it too. It wasn't. He didn't feel like it was a chore. Which, I mean, my Nan and Pa, they had a ride on mower. And we still love it.
Same. I used to love it too, but we were never allowed to ride it on our own.
Oh, really?
We were allowed to ride the quad bike and that sort of thing, but we weren't allowed.
Not the mower?
No, I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
My Pa was very precious about it. I don't know. Although, I don't know. I don't know why.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no,
I'll have to ask Dad. I can't remember. Well, we'd always have to sit like with him.
Yeah.
But we could ride the quad bike, which was like way more powerful.
Way more powerful than the mower.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Anyway.
That's so funny.
So at 3:00, Cindy, by prior arrangement, had dropped the boys, went over to Robert's house, or Robert's dad's house where Robert was living at the time, and was going to drop the boys there, and she ended up staying while Robert opened the presents. So Cindy had bought him a set of saucepans. So I think the idea was that Robert was going to move out at some point, and so I guess she was just trying to give him things to help set him up when he moved out on his own.
I love too that Jay got a bit upset because he had forgotten one of his gifts for his dad. So he, the typical Father's Day stall at school, which I just love.
Yeah.
And Jay had bought him a back scratcher.
Yeah.
And he was disappointed he didn't bring it with him. He's like, it's okay, you can bring it next time you see Dad. Oh my God, I just love that stuff.
But I also can 100%, like, the kids think that when they get that stuff from the stall,
that's way better than whatever Mum gets or whatever for Dad, and pays good money for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they just think it's like the best. Like, oh my God. I think we've spoken about this on the podcast before, but some of those.
Oh man. As I said, I'm like, where do they get this shit?
It's all Temu, baby. But how did that, like, back in the 80s or back in the early 2000s, where did they get them from?
I think there was like legit places that that sold like this shit.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. But it's funny how like some of the same stuff I see, that I used to buy my mum is still at those stalls when you go to them. It's like, what?
Oh, so bad. Do you remember those bars of soap that had like a decal on top?
Oh God, the little rose ones
yes.
too. The little rose soaps.
I used to always buy those for my grandma.
Yeah.
She
they're
probably
so
hated them. Like, why did I think that was a good idea?
Because that's what was on offer though.
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Anyway, so Jay thought his back scratcher was going to be deeply
you can just
missed
imagine
by
him being like so devastated that that's the most important gift and we haven't got it. Like, oh God.
Yeah. As Cindy was leaving after dropping the boys off, I think Bailey was a little bit upset about being left with his dad. I mean, so at this stage, Bailey was only 2 years of age, and this is a lot of change in a little kid's life. It's a lot of change in Jay and Tyler's life. Jay was 10 and Tyler was 7.
Yeah.
But I guess they knew their dad a lot longer than Bailey had. And so to be handed off he was just feeling a bit sad, apparently.
Yeah.
Just wanted his mum, which I get that. I get that
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Cindy told Robert that she needed to have the boys home by 7:30 because it was a Sunday and it was a school night and it was time to, get them off to bed. Although I believe Cindy was then going to actually take them over to Stephen's to have dinner after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whatever.
Gonna be late night anyway.
Bit of a late night
Oh, gosh, Bailey would have been exhausted.
by that time because I wonder whether he would have had naps. Who knows?
Maybe.
Robert, while he had the boys, took them shopping to Kmart. Jay got a cricket ball and Tyler and Bailey both got a DVD each.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who doesn't love a trip to Kmart?
Kmart's way better now than it was then too, I
Oh,
reckon.
yeah, bloody oath. Better bargains. I mean, I just think Kmart, the quality of Kmart's really gone through the roof lately. I bloody love Kmart.
And for our American listeners, Kmart here is not your Kmart in America.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just so you know.
Google Australian.
Yeah,
Kmart.
yeah.
He then bought the kids KFC for dinner, or they call it Kentucky. Have you heard him interviewed about it?
No, it's KFC. What do you
They
call
it
that?
Kentucky. Like in his interview, in one of the interviews I was watching, he's
Never
like,
heard
and then I
anyone
went and
call
got
it that.
Kentucky for dinner.
Oh, I've never heard
Is it
anyone
because it's
call
like
it that.
Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Well, yeah,
but who
it's
calls it
KFC.
Kentucky? It's KFC. Although
Yeah.
back in the day, did they call it KFC?
Back then they would have, for sure. Like the 2000s, it was definitely KFC.
Well, he called it Kentucky in his interview.
Okay, that's really weird. Yeah, so that would have been like Grovedale-ish, because
Yeah.
as we're saying, this is kind of rural area, which you'll see where they're from,
Victoria.
So yeah, to go into Geelong, it's probably about a 30-minute drive into Geelong, and then so on the return trip coming back through from Geelong. Kmart, going through Grovedale, there is where the KFC is. That was always I know the area well.
Waypoint.
Yeah, it's the last option for any takeaway.
That's
back
true.
then it was.
Yeah, back then. I mean, even now, unless you want to get off the highway, that's probably pretty.
Oh,
true
they've dotted
too.
everywhere a bit. Like Torquay's pretty chockers with a few takeaways.
Oh
now
yeah,
and
if you
stuff.
get. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
But that's a bit further off the
Off the
that
highway,
way,
though.
Colac way. I don't know what really is. Yeah,
there's not a lot out
not
that
a lot
way.
out there. But yeah.
They then dropped into Robert's sisters for a quick visit, supposedly on the way back to Cindy's.
Yes.
So they just popped in their Father's Day visit, I guess, like just to say hi, let the cousins see each other.
Yeah.
This is where things kind of go awry. So we're talking now the journey from Robert's sister's place to Cindy's home in Winchelsea, or the boys' home in Winchelsea.
The Princess Highway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is a fairly straight 100 kilometre an hour dual carriageway. It was dark and it was like
It was
a fairly
like 7 p.m. and in September it would be it'd be dark.
Dark.
Yeah.
it was a cool night, fairly cool night. We're still in, or would have been the very, very start of spring, really.
Yeah.
So still sort of just coming out of winter.
Yeah.
It was fairly still, wasn't raining, nothing crazy going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with what Robert reports and then we'll go back and say what the witnesses report.
Yep. Sounds good.
Robert says that Jay was feeling really cold in the car and so they decided to turn the heater up, and he said that Rob says that this then prompted a coughing fit. The next thing he remembers is they're in the water and Jay's shaking him awake going, Dad, we're in the water. And with that, Jay opens the door, water rushes in. Robert reckons he then closed the door, not quite sure how, and then the car sank really quickly. He was able to get out. Robert says that he tried to unbuckle the children before he got out of the car. He then makes his way to the shore of the dam. So he's realised by this point that the car is somehow in a dam off the side of the highway. He swims ashore, which I think was about 35 or 40 metres from where he surfaced. And he goes to the side of the dam. And from what I can gather, the dam had very high banks and was quite muddy and slippery. He's climbed out of that and made his way to the highway. And two men by the name of Shane and Tony were driving by on the highway. So they'd actually been in Geelong visiting actually a friend of theirs, I think, who'd recently had a baby.
Had a baby, yeah.
And they decided they were just sort of heading home for the night towards Winchelsea along the Princess Highway. And they see this sopping wet man on the side of the road. And so, of course, they pull over. I mean... brave, but I guess they're two men. As a woman, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably call 000 and say, which is our emergency services number, and say, I've just seen this guy on the side of the road, but I don't think I would have stopped. I don't know. It's a really hard one to know what you would do in that situation. And even these guys, well,
especially what they encountered, were a little bit apprehensive too, because like when they get into the car, when Robert gets into the car with them, they actually put him in the front passenger seat, and Tony, the passenger, climbed into the back in the thought of mind of like, if this guy is a bit crazy, he can restrain him from behind.
Yeah, I mean,
like I thought that was very clever of them to think that
very
way.
Clever.
Yeah, I mean, not knowing who you're coming across doing this sort of thing. So yeah.
Well, what they came across was a wet, like saturated man. He was saying, my boys, they've drowned. They're in the car. They're in the dam. And these guys are like, what? It's all, they could not get a straight story on what was going on.
They like, do you need to call 000? Like, do we need to get people? He actually refused on 2 occasions.
And they also then offered to go into the dam. Like, are you saying there's kids in the dam? Like, what do you want us to do? And he was like, no.
They were at a point of like, is he even telling us the truth? Like, is he like off his head?
One of the guys, Shane, actually said, I just thought he was having a mental health episode.
Yeah.
And he was adamant about getting to Cindy's house. Shane also reports that Robert mentioned Cindy's name about 100 times between when they first got to him and when they got to Cindy's house.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
I have to tell Cindy.
So what these men do, and they actually later come to regret this action.
And it's traumatized them.
For life.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get Robert in their car, as you were saying, and they drive under Robert's direction to Cindy's house.
Yeah, which is about another 8 kilometres away.
Yeah. Cindy was actually thinking, it's about time the kids should be getting home by now. Like, he's late. It was after 7:30.
Yes.
She was in one of the bedrooms or something closing a curtain, and she hears a car pull up, but she sees the car coming down the driveway and she's like, that's not Robert's car.
Yeah.
That's strange. But then she hears this scream like, Cindy, Cindy, Cindy. She rushes to the front door and opens up the door, and Robert's like, what did he say? I've written down the direct quote. I killed the kids. And Cindy's like, what? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And he's like, they're in the dam. Blah, 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 blah. Like, he's just
going a million miles.
Going a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So what she does is she gets in her car.
Yes.
The men, so Tony and Shane go back in their car. Robert goes in the back seat of Cindy's car, which I don't really get, but okay. Cindy reports just speeding down because Robert's directing her where to go. She goes, in one of her interviews, I heard her say, I was going 145 clicks down the highway.
Yeah. As you would. Like, I get to those kids, like, where the hell are they?
What is going on? Where are they?
Oh, my God.
They get to the dam and Cindy then dials 000.
Yes.
That is one of the most harrowing phone calls I've heard.
Yeah.
She is desperate. She doesn't know what's happened. No. She doesn't know what's going on. Robert's not answering her questions.
She's trying to get information out of him, like to relay to them the questions they're asking. It's awful.
It's horrible.
And he's not really helping her. He's not giving her information.
He's not giving anyone anything. No. Because the other thing is, it's dark.
Yeah.
So Cindy actually, on the way down to the dam, which, like, it took them about 10 minutes to get from Cindy's house back to the dam, she rings Stephen.
Yeah,
and she's like, something horrific's happened. Somehow their phone call gets disconnected. He then rings her back and he's like, where are you? And she, by this stage, she kind of knows where they're going, or maybe she just arrived on the scene.
Yeah.
So Stephen then puts him, his cousin who was visiting him, and his 2 sons, young boys who are the same age as Tyler and Jay, in their car.
Yeah.
And Alex actually drives while Stephen's still on the phone.
Trying to get directions from her. Literally, as they're going.
they get down to the dam, and Alex is the first person to have the foresight. Alex is the cousin. I don't know if I said that.
Yeah.
Has the foresight to actually drive his car and position his car in such a way that the headlights are illuminating the dam.
Yes.
But what they see in there is nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
There is no, it's still, it doesn't even look murky, but Alex notices, and then by this stage, police are starting to arrive on scene. I believe the ambulance arrived. So first people on the scene were paramedics at 8:07 p.m. Then the police arrived within a minute of that. One of the first constables on the scene, he was actually trying to figure out, again, I mean, a scene like this would be so chaotic. Oh. And I believe some of Cindy's family had somehow been informed, so they were starting to arrive on scene. And not only were there paramedics, there were just all types of police, fire engines, everyone was there. So you can imagine the chaotic nature of that. There was a young constable who was one of the first police officers to arrive on scene, and he actually tried to secure the site as a crime scene because he's like, we don't actually know what's going on here. Unfortunately, just due to the sheer number of people and the fact that there was so much chaos and so much commotion going on, they didn't actually do that. But to this young police officer's credit, he actually started putting markers out where he knew points of interest would be. Yeah. Where he knew the tire tracks weren't from any other car, so they would have had to have been from the car that was supposedly...
Holy shit, this could be a crime scene. They don't even know if it's a crime scene yet.
Yeah.
But if all these people keep arriving, we're going to lose all this and not know what tire tracks what. So yeah, he started marking things out, which was so amazing for him to do that. So good. But the other thing was, before even the cops arrived, so Stephen has arrived, and he's like, "What the hell?" to Robert, "What the hell's going on? What's going on?" And Robert turns to Stephen and says, "Can I bum a smoke?"
What the fuck?
Stephen lost his shit, and I don't blame him at all. And he literally yelled in there, "If you don't fucking stop, what are you doing having a cigarette right now? I'm not giving you a cigarette. I'd rather kill you." But then Stephen also did what I think any parent would do, and he's not these kids' parent.
Yeah.
He went in the water.
Yep.
And he was trying to find where the edge of the water was, from the grass and things like that. And then he found his way out into the water, and he's trying to feel around to try and feel where this car would be that's in the water supposedly.
I think they assumed that the dam wasn't that deep because it was literally just on the side of the road. Yeah. It wasn't very far off the road. I'll put some
pictures up on socials of it. I've got some photos, aerial shots and stuff of how it is. It's kind of almost in a bit of a V kind of section of two roads. Two roads where it sort of comes into the middle. But the person who owns that land, the farmer who owns that land, said that, yes, we quite regularly have cars come off the freeway and have damaged the fence and that sort of thing. But so in the previous 8 years, 7 other cars had broken the fence and come off the freeway onto that property, but none of those had ended up in the dam. This was the first one that had ended up in the dam. So that's interesting.
The grass between the highway and the dam was very, very long and brushy.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
But so Stephen drove down quite a number of times in the water looking for the kids, to the point where actually the paramedics actually said to him, "You have to get out," because he was going to get hypothermia. So once the cops arrived and they had divers and things to do that, they literally almost had to drag him out to stop him continuously going and looking, because he was as you would have thought, continuing to keep going and finding these kids till you find them and get them out.
Cindy, I guess, as you would be, was just hopeful that there was maybe an air pocket in the car and the kids were just somehow surviving in that space.
That's all you could hope for. That's the thing. You weren't going to walk away from it, motherfucker.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
Sorry, I think I said the cousin's name was Alex. The cousin's name was actually Aaron, but Stephen's cousin, but
Yeah. I didn't even flinch at it. All good. Yeah.
So the first responders on the scene basically note the same thing. So it was chaotic. It was Cindy was hysterical.
Yeah.
And asking just, where are my kids? Who's going to get my kids? What's going on? Robert apparently was quite silent. He also asked a police officer for cigarettes. Yeah. Very calm. I've heard an explanation that the reason he was calm is because he knew what had happened. But to me, if you knew what had happened and you actually gave a shit,
Yeah.
you'd be hysterical too. Like, it doesn't matter that you knew in your head that they were dead, because I think the like that juxtaposed with the way Cindy was behaving, she was desperate.
Yeah,
She was absolutely desperate because she thought there was a chance, whereas
Yes.
Robert just knew there wasn't a chance.
But why do you know?
Why did he know? How did he know?
And the thing with it, I think there's a dissociative state that you can go into in these moments too, but there's a difference between that, again, and just acting calmly. Mm-hmm. Like, I think you could...
But if you were dissociating, would
Yeah.
you be then wanting a cigarette? Would
This
you
is
be
it,
then
that's what I
chatting
mean.
with
Exactly.
people?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's different again. What he
Would
was
you
doing
be
wasn't
arguing
dissociative.
with Stephen?
Yeah.
No.
There's the reaction of what to be able to get himself in a person's car, drive all the way to Cindy's and direct her back. That's not dissociative.
No.
That's someone who's cognitive.
Well, he's wanted to see what her reaction was going to be, hasn't
Yes,
he?
he has. You
So-
can't change my mind on that.
Basically, the paramedics check Robert out because,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just part of what you would do at a scene like this. And I guess the thought of potentially treating him for shock.
Yeah.
Because
Which they were treating
Cindy
Cindy for. Yeah.
because she was in shock.
Yep.
So what the paramedics noted at the time was that all of his vitals came back completely normal.
Yeah.
So his blood pressure, his breathing rate, everything just came back, as if nothing had really happened to
Yeah.
him.
You would think at least your blood pressure would be up.
Well, you would think so, if not only from the cold than anything else. But anyway,
Yep.
the police then did sort of not a formal interview, but they just asked him whether or not, like, what he thought had happened, and just was starting to try and figure out exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
So he basically says to the police officer who was interviewing him, "Oh, well, mate, I must have done a wheel bearing and blacked out."
Yeah.
And the stories had started. Oh, maybe it was a coughing fit because, the heater was turned up really high.
He actually changed his story 4 times.
4 times.
Yeah, there was 4 different versions before he came to the coughing fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even so, one of the paramedics
I've
who
written
was
them down.
Yeah, right. The one of the paramedics actually checked him out on site, and it spoke about this, the fact that, yes, people can have very strong coughing fits and can black out. That's a thing.
It's called cough syncope.
Syncope. So that's a thing. And the paramedic said, though, if somebody's done that, though, there's still, it's not like that disappears 5 minutes after the fact. There would have been respiratory issues. They would have been able to hear in checking him out and doing his vitals. They potentially should have heard a rattle in the chest or whatever,
a wheeze or something.
But there was nothing. He was cleared entirely.
It's probably worth mentioning right now that in the preceding, I think, couple of weeks, he actually had
Yes.
a
flu
some kind of.
of-
I don't think it was a flu. I think it was a bacterial infection.
Man flu.
Yeah, with him it probably would have been. And he'd been to the GP for this.
Yeah.
Did not once complain about coughing to the GP.
No.
Just complained that he was congested. And so in the
Certainly
end,
never brought up that he passed out
No.
from coughing.
No.
And so, because later on he actually says it wasn't the first time, but that was never mentioned at the doctor's appointments either.
So the GP did give him antibiotics to clear it up, but by the time the day of the accident came, that was 5 days later or something. So
Yeah.
when upon examination at the crime scene and then subsequently at Geelong Hospital where he was taken,
Yeah.
there was no evidence of any kind of
Respiratory.
breathing or respiratory decline in him at all. No wheezing, no crackling, no nothing, no congestion. His chest was completely clear.
He reckons he's had these in jail since too. by the
Oh,
way.
yeah, in
But
front of other people.
we'll get to
that. So just quickly, the 4 different statements he made. So the first one he said is, "I must have done a wheel bearing."
Yeah.
Second one was there was a fire. He told this to Cindy apparently when Rob was in the car. Well, Cindy was driving to the scene and Cindy was on the phone to Stephen that first time. Apparently that's when he said there was a fire in the car. Must have been because the heater was on.
Right.
And then he reckons he went into a ditch and then that's like bounced the car.
And he's lost control.
Yeah.
Right. And then,
Even though it's a straight piece of road where like as in the highway is dead straight
oh,
there.
dead straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he says the coughing fit.
Yeah.
Because that sort of fit with his narrative.
So obviously the cops are searching the dam and all those sorts of things have gone on, but they've taken him back to the police station to interview him and things and find out what's going on. At no point did he ask about the kids. And even when they get to the point, so at 2 a.m. they do find the children and pull the car from the dam, and they do find the children about 2 a.m. So quite some time. It took them a long time to get to that point. So he doesn't know necessarily that they've found them or anything like that. He's never asked. And at one point in the interview, the police say to him, so the kids have died. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know.
He goes, the police officer said, mate, do you realise the children didn't make it out of the car? And he said, I figured. Yeah. I've never been in trouble before. What's the likelihood of what's going to happen to me? That's how he responded to that question. Like, your kids didn't make it out of the car. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but what's going to happen to me now?
To me. Me. I'm important here. Me. Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah. I want to jump ahead, but I'm not going to. Oh, good. So, obviously, September 4th, this all goes on. The following days, I mean, can only imagine, Cindy actually ended up in hospital being sedated. She was an absolute mess, as you can only imagine.
In moments of lucidity, though, all she would do is ask where her kids were because I think she was so out of it, she just didn't remember necessarily. But I'm like, if in that state she's able to ask about her children, in Robert's state, why the fuck wasn't he asking about his children?
Why did he exit that dam without them? I don't know. I'm sorry, there's no fucking line here where I would have left that dam without them.
No.
Plain simple.
Yep, same. I mean, I know it's really hard to say what you would do in a situation like that.
Oh, over this week I have gone through it.
I know.
That many times what I would do in that scenario.
Yeah.
He had a mobile phone with him.
Well, he claims that because it had been waterlogged, so it didn't work.
But when did it get waterlogged? After the car door was opened, or like he could have used that phone potentially.
Yeah.
But let alone all of that. I'm sorry. I've worked out how each kid would have been attached to me because he said, I have only 2 arms and 2 legs. How am I getting 3 kids out?
Isn't that disgusting? I mean, you throw the 10-year-old out and hope they can just swim to the surface.
Literally, I've been like, right, the little one's attached to the front. The next one's on my back.
Yep.
And
I hold the other one.
I grab the other one by the hand and I'm like, I'm out that door and I'm going out with all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else anyone else would. Seriously, what else were you doing?
Well, that's no excuse either. Okay, why didn't you save 2 of them?
I don't.
If that's your excuse, what you just went? Oh, I can't save all of them, so I'm just going to leave them behind.
In that moment, even you got out, you opened that door and got out before you thought of your kids. I'm sorry, I'm diving down until I'm dead. I'm not leaving that dam. Plain and simple. Getting out of that dam and just to get to your ex's house to tell her that they're dead. Mm-hmm. What on earth? I'm sorry.
After absolutely everything I've been through in researching this, that is the thing that I keep coming back to.
Yep.
Is the fact that all he cared about was going to Cindy's house and seeing her reaction when he told her he'd killed their children.
Exactly.
That is the thing I cannot and will not ever get past.
And I'll mention it here that there are podcasts out there. There's 60 Minutes article news out there around this potentially him being innocent. I'm just going to say flat out, they go into all sorts of things of like, junk science and all this sort of thing that was used to convict him, right? I don't care. As a juror, I wouldn't have cared less about the fucking science. The evidence is there. He climbed out of that dam and went to his ex's house to tell her he had killed his kids.
Yeah, that's it.
That is all I need to know. He is as guilty as fuck and needs to rot in jail.
Yep.
He is a family annihilator.
Yep.
That's what he is. No question. Why on
hard
earth
agree.
people keep coming back to this going, oh, but he had a coughing fit. It does exist. You can have that happen.
I
I don't care.
I fully agree, though, that, cough syncope
It's
exists.
a thing. It's absolutely a thing. Totally.
And there are certainly cases where, that man who was a truck driver.
Yeah.
And he veered onto the other side of the road and killed somebody in a car.
Yes.
That was easily provable. He was on the phone to his
his brother
at the time.
Yeah.
And they were able to prove cough syncope in that case.
Yes.
They can't in this case.
But at the end of the day,
also,
what the fuck? That was me and I had passed out from a cough syncope episode and my car had gone into that dam,
your actions would be very different.
Rot in jail.
Yes.
Like if I had done what he had done, I wouldn't want anything else because I deserve that. My kids are dead.
I mean, look, I think if it's genuinely an accident, okay, fine. But his actions post the incident don't show that it was an accident. No. So to me, he's absolutely guilty and he should be rotting in jail.
Yeah.
Because he never tried. He never tried to get them out.
There was no attempt. So therefore, what happened prior even, okay, I'll if you want to just take that away entirely and go like, yeah, he had that syncope. Oh God, I can't
syncope.
Syncope. And yeah, the car drove off, but he didn't attempt to save their lives.
Nope.
So that's just as bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's nothing that will change my mind.
No.
And what these people are saying around, these junk sciences and how the car, we'll get into all that stuff, but like what the car did and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's forget that. The facts are the facts.
But the other thing is, these theories that they're saying are junk science have been tested in court twice now.
Twice, yeah.
And he was convicted both times.
Yeah.
So fuck right off.
Yeah. Stop now, because it's actually abusing people ongoing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we'll get there.
When the police rescue divers dove in prior to pulling the car out of the dam, what they found was that the car was actually nose up in the dam. No, sorry, nose down in the dam.
Yeah.
So bum up in the air. It was basically vertical. And there was a door open, and once they pulled the car out of the dam, they found that Jay and Tyler were both unrestrained. Jay was sort of across the front part of the car, and Tyler was in between the back seat and front seat along the console. Then Bailey, the 2-year-old, was tangled in his car seat but unclipped. And what they think happened is that the boys, the older two, tried to get him out, and obviously that didn't go the way they wanted it to. And
I was reading it stupidly, I shouldn't have read this, but and probably now I'm going to repeat it for you guys to hear too and feel awful as well. There's a kind of thought, drowning would be like some sort of peaceful way to go, like it's so not. Those boys went through hell because, the body reacts in certain ways of that water entering the body. They're young children. They're not an adult thinking like forethought of like, even holding your breath for, as long as you can or any of those sorts of things. Those kids would have been yelling, Dad, Dad, like, and consuming that water very quickly. But the body still takes a long time to choke, breathe again, try, choke, breathe again, try, choke. Those kids would have gone through fucking hell. Absolutely torture.
It's just too much.
It's awful.
Too much.
Absolutely awful.
And they were so young.
Oh yeah. So what they found of the car, they couldn't find really any evidence of this fact of Jay opening his door either, the way he described that happening.
They basically said that that's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Because even if there was an air pocket inside the car and Jay's pushed his door open,
yes,
Robert then wouldn't have been able to pull it shut.
Pull it shut, exactly.
No. They also found that when they pulled the car out of the dam, the headlights were off. Now, This was pitch black. So as we were saying, 7 p.m. on a September night, it's dark. You have your full headlights on.
Yes.
The headlights were off. The heater, which Robert claimed was on high because Jay was cold, was off.
Yeah.
The ignition was off.
The handbrake
was on. What the fuck? what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are you and the headlights weren't just off because the car had been in the dam. They were actually turned off.
Yeah. The other thing was that
Is that so nobody could find the car quickly? Like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Really unusual. And he can't answer those questions.
Cindy asked him,
Yeah.
did you turn them off? And he goes, maybe. But maybe Jay did it.
Yeah, he tried to blame Jay. That's
Yeah.
right. Which just absolutely sends me around the twist. The other thing that they worked out was by the speed of what this car entered that water, it actually had to have skipped basically across the surface because it was doing such huge speeds.
It got 30 odd meters into the dam.
It wasn't like it kind of rolled down the hill and rolled into the water and like, that's where you think it would be, there'd be a bit of ground underneath them. They were in the middle of it kind of thing because
essentially.
It was like it skipped across the top of the water. What the fuck? Yes, they're doing 100k up on that road, but
as I said, it was very thick and long grass. Like you're
passed
accelerating.
Out too, he's accelerating. Like that's what they discovered through this, that there was acceleration. Like if you're passed out limp, right? There's no accelerating. Like you're not doing that. I don't know the science behind like if you're limp, whether or not a limp leg can then push on it. I don't know. Yeah.
But seriously, and the fact that there was tire marks to prove he went around a tree.
Around trees, two.
Yeah, two trees.
2 trees. I'll put it up on.
And some shrubbery.
Yeah.
That would have potentially at least slowed the car, if not stopped it.
Yeah.
Okay, how did that fucking happen if you were passed out, dude?
Yep. How'd you turn the
wheel?
There
was steering input?
The steering wheel, they said to get it to go change direction to that point. You pass out, your hand can move the wheel a little bit, like by turning it as you pass out or whatever. I'll have that. But he had to have turned the wheel a full 220 degrees. Mm-hmm. That takes more than like a slip of the arm on the steering wheel.
But then I just wonder also, and this is, I don't know, like could Jay have potentially reached over to try and avoid, to try and move the steering wheel potentially? Because he was 10. He would have been old enough to see a tree
But he would have pulled the steering wheel the opposite direction because he was in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
He would have pulled the car left, not right.
Yeah.
So not even that.
That was one of my things about the handbrake being on. I'm like, maybe Jay pulled the handbrake because he's like, fuck, we need to stop. Well, not fuck probably because he's 10. But I need to stop the car.
Depends on the household.
Yeah. I need to stop the car.
Yes.
Like maybe he pulled that. That was one thing I was like, I could explain that away to myself.
Yes.
But the rest of it, no. I don't think Jay's turned the headlights off.
No.
Turned the heater up, done any of that.
No.
In a panic situation, no one would think to do that.
No.
Weird.
Because then a witness does actually claim that Jay was in the back, not the front anyway. But we can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, this is where we're sitting at the moment. So everyone's sort of, did he have something to do with this? Police started interviewing him and this sort of became a bit known that he was being interviewed. And one of his very best mates, Greg King, immediately when this occurred, he remembered a conversation he had had with Robert a couple of months earlier.
So this was in the May or June of 2005. He claims this conversation took place.
Yeah. So by September 9th, he gave a statement to police about it because it was really playing on his mind. What he claimed was that there was a conversation where he was standing at the front of a fish and chip shop, and his kids were inside it getting the fish and chips. Robert was there. Their kids were inside getting that. They were chatting at the car. I think actually Robert, one of them was in a car. One of them was standing next to the car. I can't remember which way that went.
Greg was in the car and
yeah,
Robert
was outside
standing,
the car,
sort of talking to him through the window.
Chatting there, waiting for their fish and chips, basically. And as they're chatting, Cindy pulls up. Friday night, obviously.
There must be only one good fish and chip shop in Winchelsea.
Absolutely. So she pulls up to collect hers, gets out of the car and says hello to both of them and walks into the fish and chip shop. And Greg says hi, but Robert doesn't.
Ignores her.
He totally ignores it, completely ignores her. And Greg sort of called him out and said, hey, mate, you can't do that. You got to be, amicable, like, be
Say
nice and
hi.
stuff. Say hi, like, to which Greg really, Robert really like sort of flew off a bit of like, nah, she's, screwing me over, and she's taken the good car, and she's got the house, and now she's living, she's gonna marry that bloke Stephen, and oh woe is me, and really like, really had it in for Cindy, and apparently said something along the lines of, I'm gonna. What was the words he said?
So he said, I'm going to pay Gambino, so pay Cindy back big time by taking away the most important thing to her. Nobody does that to me and gets away with it.
Quite threatening comments, like really awful. Now, this really played on Greg's mind really badly. I mean, this is his best mate of 30 years. This is not just some random guy that's like saying this. It's not someone who'd be like, oh yeah, I'll take my moment in the sun here. I'll, put Robert dickhead in it. He was genuinely a good mate of his. They'd grown up together, been on footy teams, played together, all that sort of stuff.
They were in each other's weddings and stuff.
Yeah, they were at each other's weddings. So this was not a nobody, and it really got really bad for him, the trauma of it, to the point where he didn't actually even attend the kid's funeral. He couldn't. He just felt so traumatized like what information he had.
He felt guilty, and he felt like if he had have just said something to Cindy after having had that conversation, that maybe the kids wouldn't be dead.
Yeah,
that's his reasoning.
Yeah. Which, I mean, can you imagine? I can imagine, like, having a conversation. Some people do say things offhand of like, and say nasty things, and they don't mean it. But then when the exact event of what he said he was going to do happens,
and Greg said that. Like, Robert was like that. He was this, like, woe is me, complained all the time, whinged about everything. There was always complaining about money and he was very focused on money and possessions and what things kind of looked like to other people.
Yeah.
And so Greg was like, here we go. He's whining about money again because, he has to. Oh, yeah, he was apparently that night, like, complaining about having to pay child support.
Yeah.
I'm like, because they're your kids, mate.
Yeah, bare minimum, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so because in the whole process of the breakdown of marriage, like, Robert did not take it well, and that was well known. But he, to the point where he did actually seek some help, and he went to a psychologist, and he was given some antidepressants and things. He was in that process, though. He was diagnosed with a personality disorder, with avoidant personality disorder. And obviously depression. And so, he was given Zoloft, I think, and Mirtazapine to, like, treat the depression. And he was talking sort of suicidal thoughts and things like that. So he wasn't in a good way. That was known. I mean, even Greg talks about a moment, I think back in sort of maybe the January, February, where he had seen Greg parked in his car and not going anywhere, and he'd driven past him and kind of like, he didn't even see me, like, I was, as he saw him, drove past. Then later on that same day went, I saw you down at such and such point, like, but you were just sitting at the intersection, like, and you didn't see me. I waved to you, but you didn't see me. And Greg said, he was trying to line up a truck, like, to drive out in front of it and have the truck take him out. But again,
was he?
Greg kind of, so Greg was kind of like, this is just Robert, like, he does that, like, he'll talk himself into those sort of sympathy moments to get sympathy from other people and stuff, and didn't really take him too seriously on those threats of those sorts of things. But it was definitely noted by people that he was, not in a good way, not in a right frame of mind, I guess, in that he was thinking those sorts of thoughts.
Absolutely.
But so poor Greg really wasn't in a good way when he went to the cops.
He ended up having like lots of time off work, and he was eventually actually diagnosed with, he had a nervous breakdown and then was diagnosed with PTSD. Yeah. And so, I think the thing that really got me in this is that ripple effect and how many people's lives were permanently changed by this event. It's extraordinary. And I know when things like this happen, that's the case. But when it's 3 young children and they're murdered by their father, I just think how profound that is and how significant that is.
Absolutely.
It's untold, actually.
Absolutely.
It's immeasurable.
Yeah.
This is just one person whose life was changed forever. Because the thing is, Greg was a bus driver.
Yes.
And the way that it came about that he actually even ended up reporting this to the police is because his boss at the bus depot was a former police officer. And all he noticed was that after this incident had taken place, that Greg was acting really weird, really strange, and to the point where he's like, I don't think it's safe for you to be driving buses anymore, mate.
Yeah.
I really think you need to take some time, but I really think you need to go and say whatever it is that you know. You need to go and report it to the police. And that was what the impetus Greg used to go to the police, and then I think subsequently, sought some psychological assistance as well. But that's just, how much that must have been playing on his mind.
Oh, I can only imagine.
The thing that gets me about Greg, and I think this is just horrific given his experience throughout this entire situation, is once these murders went to trial, Greg's testimony was called into question.
Yeah.
So basically, Greg ended up making 3 formal statements.
Yes.
The first statement, as you said, was that in September?
That was, September 9th.
And then did you write down when the second one was? It was only a few days later.
It was only a few days later, and then I think there was one more.
Was maybe in January?
No, yeah, it was December was the third one.
Okay.
Because basically he came away from the second one, and the cops said to him, because he started remembering more of the conversation, and this is the thing, he didn't change his statement.
Nope.
He elaborated on it.
He just added more
to what, it never actually changed the story. He just elaborated and had more detail. So he was remembering more of it. And so by the time we got to the second one, the cops said to him, look, you're remembering more things. Take some time, breathe. Don't think we're on you that you have to have this information immediately. Because he actually did do some recordings as well of conversations he had with Robert about this. And they said to him, take some time, write down everything that you think of, take a week or, and write down everything and then come back to us when you think you've got it all in line. But so he really did take time to do that. And so it was the December he went back with the third statement. Yeah.
So the things that he added were when Robert said to him about nobody does that to me and gets away with it. Apparently Greg said to him, like, what do you mean by that? Or what does that mean?
Yeah.
And apparently he muttered something, as in Robert muttered something about a dam.
Yeah.
So that was the first bit that he added. So when the police then basically said to Greg, we need you to wear a wire and try and get him to recall that conversation and maybe even repeat what he said.
Yeah.
In the recording, Greg, to his credit, gets Robert to a point where he's talking about it, but Robert just tries to basically coach him through what to say, because he's like, he never
denies the conversation.
The conversation
Not at all.
happened, but he's like, well, what are you telling the police? Because Greg's saying, oh, I think the police are going to want to talk to me. Little did he know they'd already spoken a couple of times.
Yeah.
But, and he was wearing a wire, but Robert, he doesn't confess anything, but he's like, tell him I'm a really good bloke. I'm a really good father.
Yeah.
I take the boys to the footy.
Yeah.
I do this, I do that. But Greg's like, but what did you mean, mate, then when you were saying that you wanted to take away the thing that was most important to her? And he's like, oh, it was the car.
Yeah, I know, and he kept also saying like that. That was just a figure of speech.
Yeah,
like, I was just angry. I was really angry. Yeah, just tell him I'm a good bloke.
Yeah,
like he really tried to. He certainly didn't say the conversation ever happened. So I'm sorry, but Greg's statement is accurate. It was said. So I mean, just say things like, oh yeah, but I was just angry, and like, well, hang on a minute, but you've done what you said. So hang on, and immediately to then try and coach Greg as to what to say to the cops about him, it just screams guilt,
doesn't it? Yeah, tell him how good of a dad I am. I'd never do anything like that.
No, I'm a good bloke.
Mate.
You know that,
mate.
Tell him how good a bloke I am.
Oh my God,
you're a fucking piece of shit, is what you are.
Such a piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh God. So in April 2006, he's committed to trial for 3 counts of murder. There were a total of 49 witnesses called to appear, which, I mean, some of them were paramedics, police, some of them were experts, which brought, the scientific side of it. But there was also then, like, Greg gave his testimony. Now, his testimony was brought into question. Unfortunately, he had a charge on him at the time for reckless injury. I think there was a bit of a brawl at a pub or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't find anywhere that he was eventually convicted of that or anything. So I actually assume he wasn't. I do remember reading that in one of the books it states that he isn't a criminal, so therefore I dare say he wasn't convicted of it.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, but don't quote me because I couldn't find it anywhere. So at the end of that trial, it was 6 weeks it ran for, and he was found guilty and sentenced to 3 life sentences of imprisonment. 3 life imprisonment. Oh my God! Sorry, my brain.
Just 3 life sentences.
3 life sentences will do
prison.
it. Yep. So obviously the jury, they didn't take long to come to that deliberation. I think that was 3 days.
3 days. Yep.
They deliberated and came up with that as their conclusion, that he was guilty, 3 times over. Robert obviously appealed that ruling, as he's entitled to do. But his conviction was overturned by the appeal judges, and he was granted also bail then, and granted a retrial, which, okay. Basically, the reason for that was the fact that the jury had not been informed that Greg had a charge outstanding for him at the time of giving his evidence. Does that really change his reliability and the way he gave his testimony at trial? No. Anyway, that was why they granted the retrial. In 2010, he was once again found guilty. On July 22nd, he was found guilty at his second trial. Now, at the second trial, there was a new witness that was also added to the witness pool by the name of Dawn Waite. Now, Dawn didn't come forward first thing because, I can understand this a little bit. She sort of went, they've got the guy, that's fine. I don't need to come forward. So she didn't come forward.
She was also undergoing cancer treatment at the time. So she was fighting her own battle,
Quite unwell at the time. And I think she's sort of like, I don't need to hassle myself with that at this time.
It's being sorted the way it needs to.
Yeah. And not only that, she had actually back in New Zealand where she was from, there'd been a car accident where she had reported somebody doing the wrong thing driving. This person had unfortunately then committed suicide.
Because of
that.
Yeah.
So there was, obviously a lot of guilt for her around that. So I think her saying, oh no, I'm out, I don't want any part of that, is quite understandable with a bit of PTSD on that one, like what's going on there. So completely understandable why she didn't come forward.
Yeah.
But when she heard that he was out on bail and a retrial was occurring, she was like, I think I need to say something. She was also by this stage, by the way, past her cancer treatment and doing quite well. So I think with more health on her side as well, as sort of going, oh God, I can't let this go away and not speak up, she came forward. Now, so what her testimony basically was that she was driving behind that vehicle on the night at 7 o'clock-ish along the Princess Highway, and she noted that the car just kept braking and then speeding up and then braking and then speeding up.
So this is a 100 kilometre an hour zone. Freeway.
Yeah.
And she said the car was going on average about 60 kilometres an hour. So that's significantly slower than the speed limit.
Yeah. So Emma would be
which is really
screaming and shouting at this person by now.
I would be. Swearing at them for sure.
Swearing at them for sure. So yeah, she was like, what on earth is this person doing? And she didn't know the stretch of road that well herself. So she was like, well, maybe there's a turn off somewhere here and he's looking for that turn off, and was like, oh God, what the hell is he doing? And as she kind of got closer to the car, she was like, oh God, I just want to go around and get away from him. I can just, it's fair enough.
Yeah.
So she literally overtook him, and as she did that, kind of turned to the car, maybe said some expletives, what the fuck are you doing? And so she did take note.
Fucking drive.
She took note of what she saw when she turned to look at the car, and that was the driver of the car looking across to the other side of the stretch of the road. She couldn't get his attention at all. He was fixated on looking at what was on the side of the road,
on
not
the left-hand
in front of
side.
him,
Yep.
to the side, to the right.
Oh, to the right. Yeah. Sorry.
He's looking to the right. She's passing him on the left, I believe. And so he's looking towards the right, and so not paying attention to her at all. But he's fixated on looking what's off to the right. She noticed that the 3 kids were jammed into the 3 seats in the back, interestingly. And so then as she's overtaken him and yelled, freaking idiot, get off the road, pulled off in front of him, as she's looked in her rearview mirror, the lights have disappeared.
Within seconds. This was not like she'd gone so far that she couldn't see the lights anymore. She looked in her rearview mirror fully expecting to see the 2 headlights shining. And then in her mind she thought, oh, he's found the turn off to the property
farm
he's
or whatever
looking
he's
for.
going to. Yeah. And he's turned off.
And so she just kept driving.
Yeah.
She then went to Colac, stopped in Colac for a meal.
Yeah.
And her testimony was that she was in Colac at 7:15 p.m. That's the time on her receipt. And she kept this receipt for years and years and years, but she'd subsequently gotten rid of the receipt.
Well, by the time we're talking now, 2010 for this retrial.
So 5 years later.
I mean, it's 5 years later from the incident.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But what I find really interesting is the defense call into question the timing of all this, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, how did you get from where the incident took place to Colac to have a receipt for 7:15? I mean, fucking hell, memories are
Maybe
fallible.
it was 7:25.
Maybe it was 7:25. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was the thing they used.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't even fucking have the receipt as proof anymore. You don't know.
You don't know.
She just thought it was around 7:15 p.m.
Yeah, yeah. And 7:15, it puts it in the right time frame.
Exactly. It's in the right zone.
And the thing was that she was the following day on the news, she saw this car being pulled out of the dam on the news, which I can pull up the photos of that. And she literally went, that's that car I was driving past. Like, that's the exact car. Look, I understand they were a common car. I think my dad drove one, at one stage. But they were a common car. But just to see that car that was driving along that road that she was that night, approximately the same time, and it's being pulled out of a dam, she knew because she was concentrating on the back of that car. She would have known the number plate. You know what I mean?
She also said it had those louver things on the back window.
Yeah.
She even commented about that.
The fact that she had seen a man driving it with 3 kids in the car, it was the car.
Oh, and he wasn't coughing.
No, he wasn't
when
coughing.
She drove past.
No, he wasn't
That's
coughing.
the other thing.
Yes, he wasn't coughing. Yeah. So that was kind of brought into the mix in terms of witness statements into that second trial, which again obviously resulted in yet another conviction again, he was convicted of 3 counts of murder, sentenced to life in prison it was a minimum 33 years for parole.
Yep.
Which takes him through to about 2036 or so, something like that.
Yep.
Before we have to consider the thought of him being released. He tried to appeal that at the Victorian Supreme Court, but was rejected. And then again in 2013, he sought an appeal again from the High Court, but again he was turned down. So he has tried every avenue until recently, where
literally 2022, this all kind of came back out again.
Yep. Fuck off.
So basically what they're saying in terms of wanting a retrial is because they've got all this new, I'm just putting this in air quotes for those not watching us, evidence to show that there's reasonable doubt is what they're saying.
Nope, not in my mind.
The problem is so much has changed. So what they're saying is that the evidence that the prosecution used in terms of the way the car moved and the inputs that it had and all the bits and pieces that went along with that side of things is the technology that we have now will be more accurate in predicting what happened. However, since 2005, when this incident happened, along that stretch of road, 1 million cubic metres of dirt has been moved. It has been now made into a dual carriageway instead of single lane.
Yep.
And to near where the dam is, in and around the dam, there's significant changes to the topography because of all of that earth moving.
Yep.
And because there's more vegetation now. The grass is actually no longer like that grassy stuff anymore. It's like more, I don't know, shrubbery type stuff.
Lower
but there's
level,
actually no way that they can get an accurate
Can't reproduce.
reproduction of what happened.
Yeah.
There was also all this stuff about the car sinking too quickly or not quickly. Like, there's so much conjecture around the evidence that was used in both of the trials. But as I said to you before we started this,
Yeah.
this evidence has been tested twice now in a court of law.
Yeah.
And both times he was found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Exactly.
So fuck right off. Leave this family annihilator in
Yes.
jail where he belongs.
Yes.
And why are we giving him the time of day? Now, can I just say really quickly?
Please.
What I think, so with this 60 Minutes age, whatever, I
Yeah.
think this is just disgusting journalism.
Same.
I have a lot of respect, generally speaking, for
Yeah.
some of the journalists actually involved with this.
Same. That's why I'm
But
mortified.
in this instance, I just cannot actually believe they're going down this path.
No.
I think what they want is another Kathleen Folbig.
This is the thing. They want their moment of just like, oh, we've got someone out of jail. Like, he's been wrongly convicted. This isn't the guy.
No.
This is not the guy in this
someone else.
environment.
Kathleen
No.
Folbig, absolutely. Lindsay Chamberlain, absolutely. Well, no, I think that is the way it should have been for now. But no, for real.
Yeah, yeah.
But in Kathleen Folbig's case, she was imprisoned because 4 of her children died of essentially natural causes.
Yeah.
But somebody decided that 4 kids, well, that's more than a coincidence.
Yeah.
And so she was jailed for that. That is a completely different
wrong.
set of
That's
circumstances. Her children died from medical episodes. These 3 boys died because they were murdered by their father.
Yes. Yes.
That's very, very different.
It is so different. And in the environment we're living in at the moment of like domestic violence is so prevalent in Australia and then we're deciding to go down this track and look at this guy and try and get him out of jail when there is so much evidence pointing to the fact that this guy had a personality that could do this. He was, this is something he was very capable of. We're not talking about someone who genuinely had guilt, genuinely tried their best to get those kids out of that dam. He fucking did nothing. He needs to rot in jail.
Yeah.
Stay away from it. I just don't understand why these, as you say, very credible journalists are chasing this. It's not there. It's just not there. It's actually distressing. And I feel like for Cindy Gambino, I mean, it's awful that she passed away in 2022 at the age of 50. I mean,
very young.
I can only say she died of a broken heart. I'm sorry. She had 2 more children to Stephen.
They got married.
And had a lovely life together and brought these 2 kids into the world, which is so lovely. But she always, I know she made statements around the fact of I never know how to answer the question of how many kids do you have? Which I can only, the sympathy for that, I just have so much. Can you imagine saying, because she said, if I say I have 5 children, then I have to explain where the other 3 are. If I only say 2, I'm dismissing that those other 3 children never existed. That's just
impossible.
Awful.
I think it's just really worth noting very quickly too, because I think people will probably remember this, or those who know this case.
Yeah.
When this first happened, Cindy really supported Robert because she just couldn't fathom the thought that he would ever do anything like this.
She was also highly brainwashed in an abusive relationship that she was unaware that she was in.
That's right. And so it wasn't actually until the second trial that she'd come around. I think she'd had extensive counselling and she had been working really hard to, just process what had happened to her.
Yeah.
As in the relationship and then subsequently post the relationship in relation to the murder of her children.
Yes.
And by the second trial, she was well and truly understanding of exactly what happened in the situation and was fully on board in terms of assisting the prosecution.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people say, oh, but if Cindy thought it, well, no. Cindy was actually an abused woman and she was the target of this final act of revenge against her.
Yeah.
This was to cause her the most pain that anyone could ever have inflicted upon them, and that is literally what he did. And as you said, she died at the young age of 50.
Yeah.
She had 2 more young sons plus her stepsons, so Stephen's sons, who she has now left behind.
Which is just awful.
It's just more tragedy.
There is the only one positive thing out of this in that a new law has come into play as well, because when the boys passed away and they purchased plots for their burial, Cindy purchased the plot next to them to be buried next to them, right?
Yep.
So then Robert went and purchased one also. And at the time, Cindy was, okay with that because she actually believes that Robert was, that he was innocent of this. And so that was fine. He purchased the plot next to them as well, and then they'd all be buried together. As time has obviously gone on, clearly that, he's been convicted then of their murders. And then obviously Cindy has passed away. So she is buried with her boys. But Stephen had to request Robert from jail to get permission for her to be buried there. Like that alone,
he still had power.
Further abuse and further power. So then Stephen turned around and he has worked with this, and now his rights have been taken away from him in jail, that someone who has been convicted of a crime like this cannot have power over that. And so now he can't be buried there either. So he can't. So now Cindy will be with her boys, just the four of them, and Robert will not. So Stephen's a great
the hero,
bloke.
the hero in this story.
Amazing. Yeah. I'm
In
glad
so
that she
many
met
ways.
someone who was like that.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, that's awful that in death that man could still have power over her and still abuse, and this abuse continues. And that's where the media suck shit that they keep this abuse happening for these people, and that is not okay. We've got our court system and the media need to be better at protecting women and children, particularly because they are more in this situation, more likely to be in that situation. I'm not dismissing that men are in abuse situations, absolutely, but statistics point in a direction where it is more prevalent that women and children need to be protected in these situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well done. That was a pretty heavy one.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you got to the end, well done. If you need support, we've got different types of support listed in our show notes below, but please seek assistance in whichever country you live if that's something that you need to discuss with somebody, because the murder of 3 innocent young beautiful boys is just, it's a lot. But I think it's also important for us to cover cases like this because we're bringing light to a situation that, I don't know, is just so damaging to so many people. And I think awareness is everything when it comes to these types of things, and knowing what to look out for.
Yeah.
And also knowing that people like this and situations like this exist in our communities, and you never know what somebody's going through.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So for the next few weeks, actually, we've got a little bit of a treat for you in some ways. So because we're coming up to the Easter break over here, which is in Australia, we also have school holidays around this time, and Meg and I are doing various things over that time. We are actually going to bring you a little mini series of little mini episodes over the next few weeks, focusing on school shootings in the US. So we're going to pick a handful, and cover those, and there'll be just a few mini episodes coming out over the coming weeks.
We'll see how many we can get.
We're going to do our best. We were like, can we keep them to 30-minute episodes?
I remember when we started this podcast and we said we were going to do 20-minute episodes, Emma.
I remember that. I don't even think we get the bants done in 20 minutes these days.
Usually.
That's all right. Well, stay tuned for that. And then, in the coming weeks, we'll be back to our regular full programming.
For sure. But this way you still get something to consume over the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's it.
Whilst we're out of action.
That's it.
Yeah. We're having fun. We're not out of action. But
yeah, we're out of podcasting action just because it's really hard to record podcasts when your kids are at home with you.
Exactly.
Especially when you're dealing with the content we are. Also, the noise. It'd be horrific.
Just check out the end of episode, the Carol Baskin one, to find out what you'd really be listening to if we entertain this
Allowed
without
it.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No.
No one wants that.
No. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. As always, please like the podcast, follow it in whatever app you're listening to it in. That really, really helps us. Join us over on TikTok. Meg's made a few of our videos go a bit viral again lately. DM us on Instagram, Facebook. We check them all. We read them all.
We do.
We try really hard to respond to them all. So thank you for those who do engage. We absolutely love it. Really sparks a bit of joy in our days. So thank you very, very much. Always open to suggestions. And I think we mentioned a few episodes ago about giving us suggestions on what you might like to see if we do a Patreon. So please give us those suggestions as well. That'd be great.
Perfect. Excellent.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.